So in this video, I made a chronological list of what buyer's agents do to earn their money. And I started with a list from the National Association of Realtors, 173 things agents do. And I broke out the list between what the listing agents do and what the buyer's agents do. And I felt like that list was it was weak. I included it, but then I went to ChatGPT, asked it to supplement it. Then I put some more things that I knew that they were missing. I put it in there and I made a comprehensive list. So this is a list, and you can slow the video down, or you can go to listingattorney.com/homebuyer for our free video series. And now it's got to be a membership area because I'm putting this list, the next list I'm going to show you in there, and some other valuable things for buyers are in there already that I've discussed in a video from like a year ago. Now, I want to explain that the difference is that nowadays, because of technology, a lot of this list is being done by you already. So I've broken the list down into things buyers already do for themselves, things that require coordination, and things where you'd probably want real expertise. And this is why many buyers aren't doing it on their own. They go to an agent. I'm going to get to that in a second, but let me just give you back the whole idea why agents make money. In the old days, like when my parents were buying home and I was a kid, buyers had a choice. And my mom, who was a school teacher and fearless, would tell my dad she doesn't really love working with buyer's agents. She wants to feel the neighborhood. And my dad's like, well, how do you get in to see it? She goes, I don't care if I see a sign out in front. We'll go knock on the door and see if we can see the property. And my mom did it. And I was a kid in the car driving around. And some people, like my mom, who were fearless, bought properties by looking for signs throughout the neighborhood, knocking on the doors and seeing the property. The vast majority of people would have gone to a brokerage and worked with the buyer's agent. And the buyers had the gold. The buyer's agents had the gold back then. They would get the MLS list, the multiple listing service. And I did see these. They were in binders. And sometimes agents would be calling and then update and they'd cross it out if it got sold until the next list was published. I knew the list to be weekly, but there's a company called First Tuesday, and I think I saw that for a while, lists came out on the first Tuesday of the month. That's before me. But that's how people would work with buyer's agents. They had the gold. Well, the gold, the availability, and even the pricing now is all, you can get good pricing models, not great, good pricing models on the internet and become aware of all the houses. And if you do your investigation, you can even look at the sold properties to become really familiar. So, and many buyers do this. Like, I am absolutely amazed at how much effort people put into buying the perfect home for them. And that's where the disconnect comes. Because now you know, a lot of you are doing the work and finding the homes that are just right for you. And the more work you put in, the more you know where the best homes are. And the agents in the area who live there and agents working with the similar motivated buyers, they also know the best homes. So the best homes in the neighborhood are still getting multiple offers. And that's the irony of this. When you go onto a Zillow or Realtor.com and you click that link, sometimes the listing agent's paying to be promoted there, but that doesn't usually work for listing agents. But it's buyers. And it's not even usually buyers agents because the leads are so expensive. It's a buyer team. So it's one person who fronts the money. They've had a good business for going for a while. And then they have Uber drivers with keys working for them. And they'll say, don't worry, Tom or Tammy will show you the property. But when it comes to making offers, I've got 20 years experience. I've helped people buy hundreds of homes. I'll help you. And that's an okay model. I mean, but I would, let me just say one thing. I would never let one agent take care of my whole area that I'm interested in. I would want an agent working in that. They might not know enough about the home you want, but at least they know the neighborhood. Like, you don't want a buyer's agent who does most of their work in Rancho Bernardo or Poway or both to show you homes in Carlsbad, especially on the water. Like, that would be silly to work with the same agent. So you don't want to work with one agent comprehensively. You want to work with the buyer's agent at the right time. You want to work with a listing agent, never as an unrepresented buyer, by the way. You'd want to work with the listing agent at the right time. And there might be times you do it yourself, as long as you're not unrepresented. Unrepresented is a nightmare. The realtor associations have made those forms so the listing agent can ask for 2.5 or 3% if they're selling to an unrepresented buyer. And if you're talking to that agent, it's like you're talking to the seller. That agent has a duty to tell everything you tell them to the seller. That agent can't give you better strategy. That would be violating their oath to the seller. The agent can't help you do things that would not be in the interest of the seller because they're the seller. That's what the agent is, principal-agent relationship. I'm an attorney. I understand this. Maybe your agents don't completely understand it, but you can never really trust them in an unrepresented situation. I never would anyway. I don't think you should, without at least being protected. Now to the list. Things buyers already do for themselves. This is what you do, right? Comps, availability, pictures, photos, deciding whether you like a property in our neighborhood. You make some calls, you figure it out. The vast majority of people are doing this. If you're coming in from out of town, you've got one weekend, and you're not doing this because you're a relo buyer and your company's paying for it, I'd say work with multiple buyer's agents, one for one town, one for another, one for one neighborhood, one for another. And in that case, you're working with the buyer's agent. You're probably, your relocation, your business is probably paying for it. Use your buyer's agents wisely. Maybe be protected with an attorney on the team. I'm a broker and attorney. But I could see, in those circumstances, that might be how you're doing it. I still wouldn't work just with a buyer's agent, but, sometimes you have to. Things that are mostly coordination. Now, this is really the barrier. Like, how are you going to get into showings and not be unrepresented? That is like the realtor associations were brilliant when they designed the forms and the process, and they've got buyers over a barrel. And how do you undo that barrel? Well, just because I probably mentioned in previous videos, one way to do it would be to have a part of a script ready. Like it should be more involved. Like you don't want to make any decisions till you know, are there multiple offers? Is the agent already working with buyers and a few other things? But let's say you're not going to work with us and you just want to represent yourself. I mean, you could call up the listing agent, say, I don't know how you're going to do it, because they're going to say, are you working with a buyer's agent? If you say yes, then they're going to say, most of them will probably say, have your buyer's agent show the property. And if you say no, you're unrepresented. So really, you need to be a way that's unrepresented. I mean, the easy thing to do is work with an attorney. Like we have a program where you can get started for little or nothing. I mean, it really depends. We have all different ways to get started. But then when you're represented by an attorney, you would say something like, well, I'm working with an attorney and I am open to representation by an agent. And then I think you might be protected, and we'd certainly structure our offer if that's the way. I mean, I might call them up for you, or an agent in my office. I'm a real estate attorney and a broker. But if I called up, I would still, or you called up, we would still make sure that buyer, that listing agent's not trying to get paid for you as an unrepresented buyer, because that would compromise your ability. Like one of the reasons why you would have thought working with the listing agent was a good idea is because it would make your offer more attractive to the seller because they weren't paying a buyer's agent. So if the listing agent is going to get paid for it, what good is it to work with them as an unrepresented buyer? So scheduling showings, this is an administrative problem for unrepresented buyers. Communicating and talking with listing agents for access and having the right conversation that positions you as the buyer they want to work with, that is something you could do, but you might want to rely on someone's expertise. The rest of this you could get done. Now, this, though, is where I think the difference lies, or can be. And so, first of all, what buyers want: real protection and expertise. Having someone on their side in the negotiations, and even getting to the front of the line in the negotiations. When your representative calls up and has a conversation, develops rapport with the listing agent, and positions you as the type of person that's not going to go ticky-tacky on the inspections, that you know their neighborhood, you're pre-qualified, you're ready to go. If you make offers, you're going to be confident in the procedure because you're well protected. And so they don't have to worry about you getting buyer's remorse, that you've already been counseled that, when the inspections come back and we see the normal things we see in an inspection, we're not going to come back and get worried and ask for $5,000 or $10,000 more. We don't play that game. We're here to buy this home. When my client makes an offer, we're going to close. If the foundation's cracked, well, we're going to reconsider, maybe lower our offer or talk to you about it. But with normal inspections and normal reports, we're not going to come back and try to renegotiate. We want to close on this property. My client wants in. Variations on conversations like those. That's how you get the home that you want. Determining how much to offer so you don't overpay. Again, this is a very skilled thing. It's not just the offer, it's communication, it's talking, it's getting intel from the listing agent. There's a lot of things you can do, but this can make the difference. I've got a video where I explained I was buying a home, came back, they said it was a multiple offer. I was like, Phil, I could go up $20,000 or $30,000 today. I don't think the house is worth much more than that. I could have gone up 50, but I wasn't going to. Back when, the short sale market was just ending is when I bought a home in Poway. And we had just done really well. So I was like, Phil, could you call up and get some intel from the agent for me? And when he called up, he positioned me. He's like, I work with John. We sold 20 houses in the last 3 or 4 months. John's ready to go. He wants to be near a golf course because his kids play golf. So that's why we're making an offer on the home. But he's capable of buying a better home. It's really about whether you're going to sell this home to him, and he can go up a little bit, but he's not going to go up X. And he's like, what is he going to have to do to win? Because, he doesn't want to just be bidding irresponsibly. And she came back, talked to the seller, came back and said, if he goes up $2,000, he'll probably win. So I did. I went up 2,000. I probably would have gone up 20. I wouldn't have gone up 50, but, that's because Phil is an experienced agent, communicated something very credibly, and the seller is like, well, the agent had to go back to the seller and probably say, look, I know everyone's telling you to do this, but you will lose this buyer if you try to go up too much. You should get it done, and we got it done. I can give you another example. Just recently, I know that someone was working in Carlsbad with a buyer who's going to pay over $2 million for the property. The seller, or the listing agent, who knows, came back and said, we're in a multiple offer situation. And the buyer said, oh, that's good. And walked. Was not interested in the normal standard games. He's aware the market's a little slower. He's well financed, but he wasn't going to play games. And he didn't believe that a house that had been on the market for the period of time it was on the market, all of a sudden had another offer, didn't like the response, and walked. And I know the agent was like, this is a strong move. It was pretty cool. And we were both thinking that within a few days, the listing agent would come back groveling and say, we'll take your offer. And they did, but the buyer went out and bought a different home. So, there are, these are very important times where you and me working with someone who's been in a weaker or down market. Like, I don't know that working with an agent that's under 35 years old or 34 years old, and they probably aren't even old enough to have a license during the last down market. And this is maybe weakening the down market, depending on the areas you're buying in. And, you need to understand that most agents don't know how to negotiate this very well. It's very different. And you want to work with an agent that knows your area, but also understands the market. And there's just all these other things: identifying risks, setting up the contract to meet your needs, negotiating repairs credits. All of this is probably less important than the overall feel of your representative, the person who gets on that phone and talks to the listing agent and knows your scenario and can position you well and can get as much intel to get the deal done. Like, and at what prices. And if you're dealing with a super intelligent listing agent, well, it's probably all the better. I mean, maybe you won't get quite as good a deal because that agent is doing a fantastic job for their seller, but you'll probably get the deal when you got a smart agent representing you and a listing agent. That house might not have been sold too cheap ever, but you got two smart people working together, you'll get the deal done. I mean, like this Carlsbad deal, like I was just talking about, like, we don't know if it was the agent or it was a greedy seller who thought it was the old days, but we see it so often that sometimes the listing agents just, it never should have happened in this market. If they're aware of what's going on, it never should have happened. There should not have been scaring away the buyer who was actually going to close, regardless of what was happening over here. It should never happen. So and that's a warning for both sellers and buyers. You cannot work with agents who don't know this market. The mistakes they make can cost you your dream home if you're a buyer. They can cost you a deal if you're a seller. It's a different market. It's time to work with professionals with experience. Just period. That's it. There's no choices. If you want to be the person that sells your home for a good price or top dollar in this market, or you want to be the person that gets to buy the dream homes. It's a mistake to work with any of the other models. Inexperienced agents, the strong agent with a driver. I mean, how's that agent going to present you as the person that the seller wants to list with? You want to work with someone who can help you buy the home that you want at your price. listingattorney.com/homebuyer. For the rest of our video series, we've got some really good materials and videos in there already. It's going to expand. And at any time, once you get in there, you could get updated. Well, I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't sent out any, but you'll get updated and you'll know where to go. I mean, we can help you buy as a flat fee attorney anywhere in California, anywhere. And we have other ways to bring in buyers from our network. If you do on those times when working with a buyer's agent is the right way to go. And there might be times when you want to work with the listing agent directly. That's some of the videos are going to go over those things. There are times you want to work with the listing agent but still be protected. John McConnon, talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.